Hello, my little treasures, and welcome to Dad's Do Dinner. I know, it's been a while. First of all, I want to say a massive, massive thank you to the NHS. This has been an incredibly tasking and taxing year for all of us, and I want to say a special thank you in particular to my wonderful wife and camera woman and director of Dad's Do Dinners clips. I just thank you so much. So basically, we've had a very busy year. My wife's been helping man the COVID lines at work, and it's been very, very difficult with lots of shift patterns and so on. So it's been a long year, not a lot of time for play, but we're back and we're ready to give you a run up to Christmas that I hope that you'll thoroughly enjoy. In other news, we have a new kitchen. Oh, did you like that? That was almost on pitch. Yeah, it's white. I have to clean it. So annoying. Yeah, welcome. Let's get cracking. So today's recipe is lasagna, lasagna classico, if you want to give it a nice Italian name. I know it's another pasta dish, but the reason I wanted to do this is because we're going to do a huge lasagna. So basically you can cook it, feed it to people, and then you can put it in the freezer, you can put it in the fridge, you can portion it up, you can do whatever you want with it. And today's meal was totally about cooking from fresh and also having something yummy you can either bung in the oven or the microwave at a more convenient day. So should we have a look at what we've got today? Great, let's have a look. So what I've done to speed up today's clip is that I have already fried some mince and some onions. So I've used 1 kilo of mince, lean mince actually for this one, and I've chopped up some onion. You don't have to use onion if you don't want to, or you can fry the onions first and blitz them to make the sauce a bit smoother, but I like chunky onion in my lasagna. And then you'll see this beautiful crowning of this green blossom that's actually basil. Fresh basil is so good for you and beautifully sweet, and gives just such a rich and complementary flavour to tomato. So I must insist that you use fresh basil, and we'll go over some really good pricing options just before the end of the clip. So just before we get this on, I'm going to throw in a really nice helping of salt. So I'm going to use a really, really nice semi-palm of salt. This is pink Himalayan salt, but if you want to use your own salt, that's totally up to you. And then we're going to get this on a high heat. I'm going to put it on full actually and get this reheated. The next thing we're going to add is some garlic. If you will remember from my clips from last year and this year, you will know that I absolutely cannot stand crushing garlic. It's one of the banes of my life. So yes, I do use garlic paste. I'm sorry, all those super chef loving people out there. And this is how scientific I'm going to be. Use 1/3 of a tube. If you would like some measures, I would use 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, very, very crushed, and then put in. And as you can see, that's literally how scientific I'm going to be. And the next thing I'm going to do is throw in our chopped tomatoes. Let's just recap very quickly. There ain't no El Dolmio here. I'm trying to not put a brand on there, but I failed miserably. So there's no jars here. I want you to do this all yourself today. So we're going to throw in some tinned tomatoes, and with all of the other ingredients that you've got in there. So you've got mince, onions, salt, garlic, and chopped tomatoes. I'm going to mix all that up. Keep that on the heat, and once that is coming to a boil, we're going to turn the heat down ever so slightly. So as you can see, I've done a huge wok size version of this filling, basically because the mammoth lasagna I'm going to make today is certainly not for the little 3 of us. In fact, may only be for the 2 of us. It is definitely one to store at a later date. So let's just mix all that up together. This is beautiful green flecked red filling here with that kilo of mince just all coming together really nicely. And then we're going to add 1/2 tube of tomato puree, or to be exact 100 grams. So I'll get that in there now. This is one you did not pierce earlier. Oh well, never mind. So get that in. Lovely, look at all that. Beautiful. So the thing with the lasagna is that even though it might seem very, very bog standard and boring, the only reason it is because when the giant supermarkets took it over, they changed the recipe. And it's not meant to be that boring. So with all these fresh ingredients that are going into your lasagna, you'll hopefully get some fabulous flavours and it won't be too tomatoey, hopefully. That's not really the plan. Obviously, if you like tomatoes, you go for it. You can get this as tomatoey as you like, but for the sake of flavour and for consistency, I'm just going to get this on over there. Lovely. Right, I'm going to move that to the back now. I'm going to get our white lasagna sauce on the go now as well. So I'm just going to heat that up to about 4. Okay, so in our next pan, we have a litre of milk and 15 grams of butter. I did start the process early because, let's face it, you don't want me to talk all through your day that you're very kindly watching this. So let's get this white sauce on the go and ready. Where is my, haha, right, so easiest way to make a roux. There would be some now who would kill me and shoot me in my grave, etc. But I'm going to make a very quick and easy roux. Normally you would melt the butter, add the flour, add in bits. No, too complicated. So I've put 100 grams of plain flour into this little container. I'm going to fill it with some water so that there's just enough room at the top of the container that I'm using. Please guys, use a airtight or watertight container, because what I'm about to do will not go well for you. Sounds really gross. Right, so as you can see, all the flour has now mixed up with the water, which is perfect. And that basically prevents you from getting any globs or lumps and bumps in your sauces, and that's how I make my gravy, and that's how we're going to make the cheese sauce, which is very exciting. So let's get this on the heat. I'm just going to mix this litre of milk up with the butter, and now this floury mix that's going to go in there. And basically it's like unfortunately one of those where you really have to watch the pot boil. And the reason being is that if you don't keep stirring it, then all of that starch is going to clump on the bottom. So as I multitask now, I'm going to stir over here. I'm going to have a little chat to you while we're doing this. I hope you're all keeping very well. It has been quite the year, hasn't it? And one of the things that I was very, very encouraged about was that I had very many friends saying, we'd love to see a recipe or two come out, and I was like, oh, I'd love to, but we'd made a commitment to supporting each other and supporting our community with the COVID pandemic, so we really, really wanted to be there and make sure that everyone who was on a shift or everyone who was being cared for was cared for. I've been so lucky that I got to see parts of my family, although very, very little this year, and I miss them a lot, miss my friends, but hopefully through this video we'll get to say a quick hello as well. So if we come back to this pan, you'll now see that everything's coming together. I've cheated a little bit. I preheated the litre of milk before you all joined me today, and that's because basically I didn't want you all bored and hanging around. So it's already starting to thicken up, but the main key is with any sauce is that you must not stop stirring it, and you must try and go in the same direction. That black fleck in there is a piece of basil that snuck in, so don't worry about that. It'll all come around fine in the lasagna. So you can see the consistency of the milk is already changing. It's going to have to speed up a little bit. Try not to take too much mess. Alright. And it's really coming together now. Can you see this is not flicking milk anymore? This is actually thickening up very, very nicely. And for once, I don't want it too thick because it's meant to be a classic cheese sauce on the top of the lasagna. So we'll see how we get up. Oh yeah, can you now see the difference? You can actually see the ladle folding the sauce. And what happens is that all the molecules of flour that we put in, they all swell up and they burst actually in the heat, and all that beautiful starch comes flying out of the flour, and that's what causes the liquid, or sauce in this case, to thicken. So there we go, it's called gelatinization. How exciting, a bit of food technology for you there. So this is really, really nicely thickening up now. So we're going to be able to finish that any second. So I'm just going to make sure that that's all nicely thickened up. And the way to test that it's hot enough is A, that you'll obviously see that you're now pushing sauce around a pan and not a bunch of milk. You'll also notice that it should start bubbling like that when it's on the heat. So I'm just going to switch that off now. So the next thing we need to do to this sauce is add 200 grams of cheese. I today have used mature cheddar because it's my favourite and I think it's gorgeous. I'm going to save a bit of this for the topping of the lasagna, but basically at least 160 grams, if not 170 grams in there to make it nice and white and cheesy. Lovely, lovely. How you doing, cameraman? Your arms I'm getting a grin. We're all good. We're all good. So I'm just going to stir this lovely, lovely cheese in. And again, we want it nice and velvety, beautifully smooth. So just keep stirring. If you have a hob like mine, which is halogen, you can put it back on the residual heat to keep it nice and warm. If you're on gas, I really wouldn't worry about it. You should have plenty of heat left over. Now, look at that. Beautiful. So the only thing I want to put in here now is a pinch of salt, and that will bring out the acidity of the cheese. If you put in any more than a pinch of salt, depending on what cheese you use, it could get very, very, very salty. So I'll just stir that in now. Good. All right. So the last thing to show you before the clip ends is how to do the lasagna. And I really want to do that together because I think people automatically think, oh my goodness, why on earth would you make a lasagna? It's so time consuming and it's so boring, and you can just buy a giant one from the supermarket. Totally understand where you're coming from. However, I want to prove you wrong. That's just the type of guy I am. So we've got our beautiful mince tomato mix here, and I want you to try and get that stirred up as much as possible before we ladle it into the container of your choice. Some of you hopefully will have a proper lasagna dish. If you don't, and I'm proving it today, you can use a deep casserole dish. It's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to move that out of the way slightly. Okay, so let's take, look, literally lasagna sheets. This is a good point to tell you about pricing. Went to my favourite supermarket today called Schmoldy, and fresh basil, 52p, no excuses. Pasta, 80p. Mince, less than a fiver for a kilo, fresh, lean, beautiful. Save this as long as you can. What do you reckon? 6 portions for a hungry family if you want to eat it all at once. I'm not gonna, but it's certainly gonna make some easy lunches and dinners to grab this week, plus tonight's dinner, which is really helpful. So we've got our lasagna sheets ready. If you are the type of person that likes a really, really wet lasagna, that sounds gross. If you like a slightly more saucy lasagna, what you could do is put your lasagna sheets in some water for 15 minutes to half an hour before you do this, depending on how moist, again, gross, how saucy you want your lasagna. I can't stand a saucy lasagna. I think it has to be nice and layered. So I'm going to put completely dry lasagna sheets into my lasagna. But I've known over the years many people try and show me how to make lasagna, and some of them have been great, some have been not so great. So we're going to do it from scratch. So very, very quickly, this is how we're going to do it. You take your tomato, basil, mince and garlic mix, and you literally just put a layer, and the layers will pretty much be dictated by the amount of sauce you have. So if you've halved this recipe for your own reasons, for example, then only put half the layers of pasta that obviously I'm going to do. Lasagna is not meant to be like full of pasta. I personally don't like a lot of pasta. I prefer the filling. So when you're putting your layers in, this is literally how scientific you are. See what I'm doing? Oh, look at that, a jigsaw puzzle. How amazingly clever am I? But Chris, you'll say, there's gaps on either side. Yep, ready? Look, broken pasta in dish, covers corners. Literally, that's all I want you to do. Break it up, cover as much as you can, and not stress about it. Next layer. See? But Chris, no, Don't book Chris me. This is meant to be home cooking that you get joy out of, that you're not stressed about perfectly formed lasagna. Did you like that dramatic crack? Did I get you, dear? Sorry. No, we're all right. We're all good. No divorce today. Fabulous. All right, I'm going to get 3 layers out of the mix that I've made. So I'm just going to make it nice and flat. Now I'm Australian. Brilliant. You can zhuzh up the layers if you want. I personally don't like doing that, so I'm going to just keep layering on. Remember, if you've pre-soaked, not a problem. It just will be slightly more. Do you like the drama? Drama! I love it. Bit of stress relieving there. There we go. Look, all these shards, throw them in, cover any bits. It's all good. Literally, it will all disappear. Because once that pasta cooks, you literally won't have any shards, because guess what? Pasta goes soft. Lovely jubbly. Have I all convinced you to become cooks yet? I hope so. We won't just be doing pasta, by the way. It was just one that fit in with our dinner, and I thought you'd enjoy it anyway. We're going to be doing loads, actually. Well, not loads, but you know what I mean. Enough to keep you busy, which is what it's all about. So there we go. Spread it all over. Lovely. Now you can choose if you want less pasta, just put your cheese sauce on now. If you're like me and like a definite layer, we're just going to pop these on here. I hope I have truly convinced you that making a lasagna is super easy, because it is. I don't think this is any more stressful than some of the other pasta bakes that I've done for Dad's Do Dinner or anything like that. And as you can see, I'm extremely scientific. So the only thing you might want to do on the very last layer, if we're going to be really pedantic, is just fill as much of the top as possible, only because it's the cheese sauce that's going on, but please don't stress about it, it's not a big deal. Okay, time for the cheese sauce. Yum, yum, yum. Give it a quick stir. And then we're going to layer it on like this beautiful velvety carpet of cheese goodness. And it's filth, and it's meant to be filthy. Oh my word, look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to actually let this cool down. So this can stand on the side for ages if you wish. I'm going to leave it for about an hour. What time are we on? Yeah, I'm going to leave it for about an hour just to cool down, because the more this cheese sauce cools down, the more of like a harder skin it'll get, so that when you put your cheese decoration on the top, it won't melt into the sauce as fast. And that, my dears, is a beautiful homemade lasagna. Did you see any jars? Nope. And there we go. That's how easy it is. I'm so thrilled to be back. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to put this on now at 180 to 200. 200, but I have to put it on 180 now because I have an oven with a fan. So exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to see you all. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.